Welcome back to Mike's Book Report. Starting this season and going forward, we're going to look at licensed sci-fi books from IP favorites like Star Trek and Star Wars. But more importantly, and I'm very excited for this, we're also going to dig back into some sci-fi books from the past and see what's up with them. Some of these are classics I haven't read, but shamefully probably should have. And some are old favorites I haven't read in a long time, and some are overlooked gems that need some attention. This first one is one of the all-time great works of sci-fi, and I am ashamed to say that I had not read it before. And I call myself a science fiction author. So I went into Ray Bradbury's The Martian Chronicles with some weird prejudices. There was these stories are collected from 70-year-old pulp magazines. This is going to be painfully dated prejudice. And the I really, really don't want to read boring stories about astronauts wandering around Mars prejudice. I am happy to report that not only were these prejudices somewhat incorrect, they were incorrect in the best possible ways. Oh, hi. First of all, I got this copy. This is got cover art by Michael Whalen. It says it even on the back, cover art by Michael Whalen, because, you know, the Michael Whalen covers are always fantastic. Look, this book is a collection of Bradbury's short stories about Mars, modified slightly and given enough connective tissue to create an overarching story. This is what they call a fix-up in the industry, and it's pretty common. And yes, these stories are very old, and they're definitely dated from a scientific standpoint. But once you accept that the atmosphere is more or less breathable on Mars, and that people travel there in rockets, there's not much more disbelief to suspend. The second story, Agla, introduces us to the Martians in a brilliantly mundane way, a couple coasting along in an underwhelming marriage. The familiar scenario is punctuated by the alien aspects of their culture, where they play music with books, clean the house with dust, golden fruit grows from the crystal walls of their home. But despite their alienness, it turns out Martian husband Mr. K is as jealous and cranky as a human husband, as we find out when Mrs. K has a telepathic vision of a future meeting she will have with a strange-looking man who is clearly described as human. I really, really like this dichotomy Bradbury plays with here, that the Martians are both relatable and completely alien at the same time. Unfortunately, we don't spend nearly enough time with this fascinating culture, and you get the feeling that Bradbury would like to write about them more too, except a bunch of Americans keep coming to Mars and quickly ruin the place. So now Bradbury's pissed off that he has to deal with these idiots for the rest of the book. If you're enjoying this video, why not buy my book? Flight of the Pangolin is the story of an intrepid group of heroes who decide to exit the solar system over the objections of an isolationist faction. There's actually a lot more going on than that. There's space pirates, a giant spider for no reason, all kinds of other things. Buy it now online wherever you buy books or at our website, www.thepangolinrepublic.com. You can also get fun t-shirts and random other stuff if you want. They're not all idiots, of course, but themes of manifest destiny, though the term is never actually used, are all over these stories. And there's some clear, even overt at times, parallels to early American colonization, which is some dark stuff. From a less skilled writer, this would be a slog to get through. But the stories are entertaining, the characters are colorful. This was not at all a difficult book to get through. I really enjoyed Bradbury's writing style. He knows how to turn a phrase evocatively without going overboard into purple prose. And he does a really good job sketching out memorable characters, even though we're only with them for a short time. Apparently there's multiple editions of this book. Some include the stories The Fire Balloons and The Wilderness, but omit the story Way in the Middle of the Air. Way in the Middle of the Air is a capital I important story, and I would be suspicious of any editions that don't include it. So if you're interested in checking this book out, or your edition doesn't have Way in the Middle of the Air, keep an eye out for that. Other stories I found to be highlights were The Earthman, which is pretty funny. The Third Expedition, which had a pretty effective twist, even more so for its ambiguity. And The Moon Be Still As Bright, which provides the basis upon which most of the rest of the stories will be based. The Musicians, the shortest horror story I've ever read. Usher 2, which is both a love letter to Poe and a return to one of Bradbury's pet themes. And There Will Come Soft Rains, which you might have heard from elsewhere, which is so incredibly not dated, it could have been written next year. There was a TV miniseries adaptation of the Martian Chronicles back in 1979 with Rock Hudson and Bertie Casey. Bradbury called it just boring.
Hello? Agla?
I've never seen it, but just by the trailer, I can tell the book was better. I think maybe I saw a clip at some point, and it contributed to my prejudices about this book. So if you've seen the miniseries, or the miniseries made you lose interest in the book, I'm here to tell you to check out the book anyway. Please. So as these book reports continue, I look forward to reading more older sci-fi books and stories. I think more often than not, if they're strong enough, the characters, plot, and themes will carry the story past any creaky science that's past its expiration date, which was certainly the case here. So I really enjoyed the Martian Chronicles. I highly recommend it, and that's all I've got for this episode. We'll see you in the next one.
Agla?